Angel Reese today and the WNBA. Now, I would have never thought if you would have told me 3, 4 years ago, Brandon, you're going to be talking about the WNBA on Brandon's World, I would have thought you were crazy. Then this college basketball player came alive. Her name is Caitlin Clark. She took the entire sports world by storm. And ever since she's been drafted into the WNBA has been in the spotlight. And Angel Reese, who obviously played at LSU, she was drafted by the Chicago Sky. She was there with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. She has somewhat taken offensive to all the media coverage of Caitlin Clark, and she is becoming the villain of the WNBA. Dismissing the referee and waving it off, giving that hip check, quote unquote, or that hard foul to Caitlin Clark, which I thought was an absolutely legal play, and I don't mind it at all. And I do think that the WNBA is in this weird space because there is a reason why nobody on any of the major broadcasting, sports debate shows, and myself included, talk about hockey. Hockey is such a niche audience. It is one of the core four major sports. It is getting better coverage now with their new media rights deal than it did under the NBC Sports Network. Now it's under obviously TNT and ESPN. But the NHL is a very niche audience. Nobody talks about it. Professional wrestling, which I talk about on this show because it is such a niche audience, but it is a very niche audience. But if you cover it like some people do, some people watch WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, MLW, whatever wrestling you can get a hold of, that can be its own separate sport. The WNBA has an opportunity to do something very rare, in my opinion, and that is to potentially surpass the NHL in popularity. It could become what baseball should be, which is the sport of the summer, though baseball doesn't know how to market their stars. Um, but my biggest thing about the WNBA, and this is why I'm glad Angel Reese has done this, Angel Reese has brought attention onto other WNBA women outside of Caitlin Clark. And I know my debate partner at Championship Rings, Josh Unger, will disagree with me on this. But if you take a look at the numbers, and maybe now more people are watching the WNBA / women's college basketball once they saw Caitlin Clark and they saw the product, and they are now more intrigued with the likes of Angel Reese and stuff. But when we had Sue Bird and these other WNBA women, nobody gave a rip. Nobody covered women's college basketball. Nobody covered the WNBA. It wasn't until Caitlin Clark came along, the Steph Curry esque of the WNBA. She started doing all this crazy stuff. She started being so much more talented than the rest of everybody in the women's, basketball world, whether it be the WNBA or college basketball, that people latched on. And this is why I say I like dynasties in sports because I like superstars and people latch on to superstars. Why has the NFL not lost any popularity since Tom Brady retired? Because we have Patrick Mahomes, who is now the new face of the league immediately. The NBA lost popularity when Michael Jordan left the league because Tim Duncan was boring. He did not have a superstar alpha personality. LeBron is coming to the league and taking it over, but once people leave, you never get that viewership back. So Caitlin Clark and the WNBA have an opportunity to grow this sport. I think Angel Reese is taking it upon herself to say, hey, now that everybody's watching, it's not just about Caitlin Clark, it's about everybody. I would argue that Caitlin Clark has brought everybody to the dance, and now more people talk about the WNBA and again women's basketball more than ever because of Clark. But if Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark become what a lot of people have said, and that's the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird of the WNBA and start growing this sport, and the WNBA really becomes watchable, once we get to June, July, August, sort of replace that baseball period as we wait for the NFL training games to commence. I think it'd be very interesting to see. I think that the WNBA hype, in my opinion, has somewhat died down a little bit. I think it's going to take a lot of time for people to get used to watching another sport and to keep our eyes glued in because, again, with the NHL, with the MLB, with the NFL, there's so much content on. Now, college football is growing. We're going to have the Big Ten and the SEC essentially this season, two mega conferences big games, and the college football playoff, I should say, not the NFL playoffs. College football playoffs expanding, so there's a ton of sports on. It's sort of a sports boom in this country, and the WNBA is certainly a part of it. And I'm glad that Angel Reese has not coddled Caitlin Clark. I'm glad she's taking a stand because every good rivalry needs a villain, and Angel Reese could be the villain to Caitlin Clark. And the Indiana Fever, Chicago Sky, once they get some wins, once they both become good teams in a couple of years, that could become the rivalry of the decade that could be talked about not only in terms of the NBA but WNBA history. Like that clip from the Brand Sport podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand Sport podcast right here on YouTube.